What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sessions with Snake Vape. I am the host of this channel and the main attraction, of course, next to the plentiful of video games that I have available at my disposal. I am known in the gaming community such as PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, Nintendo, whatever they're calling that online service now, as Snake373. But here on YouTube, I'm known as Snake Vape. Today I'll be bringing you a updated review. Actually, this is going to be my first professional review in terms of editing and video software. So I'm going to do a little mix of everything, at least with this one. This is going to be my first official review. The ones I've done before were used with, the tools I had at my disposal, which is very limited. But now that I've had some extra tools such as a game capturing device and plenty of software, editing, video, all that, I have decided to label this one as my first real review. And what would I be bringing? DriveClub. That's right. When this game first came out, it was a mess. The online service was barely working. Some, if not most of the functionality and all the extra things and features you can do in the game were pretty much not working at all. They were actually shut off. It was just a real big mess. There was a lot of things it promised to deliver, such as weather effects and this dynamic change and all this, and it couldn't do it on launch. It's been quite some time now since it first got released. There have been plenty of updates. In fact, the game is running right now where it should have been running in the first place. I see nothing wrong with it. I mean, if you were to pick this game up now, you would not know what anyone was talking about back then when it first got released. So I have the liberty now to play this game the way it was meant to be played, meaning that all the features that were part of DriveClub are now functional, working, and no issues whatsoever. The online service is working admirably. They did a wonderful job fixing it up. And best of all, I've got all the expansions and DLC up to date right now, which is February 3rd, 2015. So up to this point, everything that came out for DLC in this game, I already got on the PlayStation 4. So, how does this game fare now that it's working properly, that it's actually functional? And more importantly, do any of the DLC packs add any excitement, any diversions, any replayability to a racing game that was pretty limited in scope? Stick with me and we're going to find out on this video episode of Snake Vape Reviews.
The graphics are by far the most impressive aspect of this game. This is truly a next-gen experience, and you can see that as soon as you go to the vehicle select screen. The colors may not be as vivid as Forza on Xbox One, but they're not dull either. The lighting is some of the best I've seen in any game period. Sunlight, taillights, headlights, everything to do with lighting is simply amazing in recreating realism. Reflections you find in this game are so impressive they were at times distracting. Really, they are beautifully noticeable in how well they are done. The tracks and locales featured are done with such breathtaking detail. It's a shame the game moves at such high speeds that you can't really take a minute to just look at everything around you. Cars are painstakingly detailed to every degree. Every camera angle lends a sense that it's an actual camera, either filming from a third person or strapped onto the hood of your car, or for perspectives like the in-cabin view, it does that better than any racing title on next-gen systems. I will say that I am disappointed with the car damaging found in this game. It has this spiderweb look to things when you begin cracking glass or scraping paint. If there's a weak point in graphics, it has to be how artificial the damage to your cars look. I always hated when cars deform as if to warp the vehicle from impacts and collisions. The latest Need for Speed Most Wanted on last gen felt like the only racing game who got damaging to look realistic. Here, no parts fly off, and the cracking and scraping just comes off as looking like an overlay instead of real time. Now Forza is good and all, but one thing that bothered me about their in-cabin view that has not been a problem here is that your avatar actually moves the shifter when going through the gears, unlike Forza that had the animation, but the shifter never moved. The details are apparent in everything you look at. If there's one game I would show my friends to showcase the raw power of PlayStation 4, this would easily be the best next to Killzone Shadowfall. All in all, apart from the damage modeling of the vehicles, I can't imagine anyone would have a problem with DriveClub's graphics. The engine sounds and tire squeals are serviceable. I wouldn't say all the cars sound unique, as many of them sound similar to each other. Now sure, I know not every car should sound different, but I can't help but get the feeling they reuse some of the engine sounds for vehicles in this game. I'm not saying they're bad or anything, just that I don't think there's enough variety in that department. The ambient sounds of the environment sound calming and capture the atmosphere very well, but you won't be noticing it except for the beginning of an event before you start the race, as most of the time you're just hearing engines and tires and collisions. Now collisions don't have enough impact to them. Burnout, this is not. More along the lines of Gran Turismo 5 or 6. If you played those, then you should come to expect the same collision impact quality of the sounds to be like Gran Turismo. The music is as generic as it can get, absolutely not inspiring, and I think the developers knew this because by default the music is set to off during races. Maybe it's to emphasize the sounds of the cars overall, as if to say it's that good. But honestly, I just feel they knew their music wasn't noteworthy, and you'll come to find that out through the menus as it plays on those screens and at the end of races. Overall, the sound, like I said, is serviceable. It gets the job done for sound effects, and the music doesn't annoy or inspire anything. It's a meh kind of experience. Now gameplay is a sim-arcade feel. Cars handle more simulation-like than a Need for Speed game, for example, but more arcadey than a Forza or Gran Turismo title. It's a nice balance between the two, if you ask me of course. Cars do not handle pound for pound like their real-life counterparts, but you still need a simulation mentality to play it right. Apexes, oversteer, understeer, braking, acceleration, all of that factors in if you're going to earn all 3 stars in an event or race with any potential of placing. You can't just floor the gas pedal through turns or take a corner with no thought. Every car feels distinct in one way or another, though not wildly different from one car to the next. You can kind of segregate the cars into several categories, such as those who have too much power in the wheels that they spin out easily, those that can take tight turns and lose a little grip, those that just fling you to the back of your seat quicker than a shuttle liftoff on crack, and then those that drift exceptionally easy and well controlled doing so. I mean, there's more categories I think you can put some cars in, but those are the biggest that I think of when stepping into a new car. Damage is not going to ruin your car's performance, as it is mostly cosmetic, but that doesn't mean you can hit everything and anything you want, even if you might end up doing that anyways. Say DriveClub has a system in place that penalizes you for things like colliding with other racers hard enough and cutting corners. A basic complete slowdown and limit of your speed for a set amount of time, which can really screw you over in a race. Unfortunately, this system is wildly inconsistent. You'll slam other racers at incredible speeds to have no penalties, only to slam another racer at a lower speed and get penalized. It almost feels completely random when this game decides to discipline you for your actions. AI in this game is by far some of the most aggressive I have ever experienced in a long while from a racing game. They seem to not care about you and will constantly block your progression, slam into you, and there's just no way to avoid hitting a racer. You will collide with them and clash as if this is some epic action movie with cars. It can be due to the fact that the AI suffers from what I call Gran Turismo mentality, which basically means they will stick to the racing line no matter what is happening. Damned if you get between them and that racing line. While it's not impossible to achieve all 3 stars in a given event, it is extremely difficult to do so. Meeting some requirements will take you numerous tries to get it done. This is a game that's challenging in that aspect, but it's never feeling unfair. You'll also be doing challenges in real time during races, such as following a racing line or drifting around a corner against a score set by another player on DriveClub. This gives races a more dynamic I'm better than you feeling and keeps competitive mindsets throughout. You're not obligated to compete, but if you so choose to, they're there. Ever feel like you finished a race or set a lap or even accumulated so many drift points in an event that you were better than most? In DriveClub, after you completed events, you have this ability to send out challenges to other players or clubs, which I'll get to the clubs in a minute, and it's really easy to send out these challenges too. DriveClub gets competitive racing so fluidly that even those not looking to compete with others will find it tempting to send out a challenge or two to others to beat your time or score an event. Clubs, as the name DriveClub implies, is a feature here you might find a little interesting. Though not as fleshed out or expansive as Forza, it does an okay job. You can have up to 6 members, and you will level up your club as well as yourself, using a leveling up system that unlocks different cars and liveries through events you participate in. You will need to be part of a club with at least 2 members in order to start leveling it up, and you will need your club to be leveled up to access some of the cars in the game that are tied exclusively to what level your club is. Strangely, for this game, you can also customize your drivers in the game, and though it's very limited, you can also create custom paint jobs, which are also limited. You basically pick from a set design in different categories, and also pick the colors you want, then apply it to a slot of 4 different paint job slots, and that's it. I mean, you can also create a custom club emblem, which I find strangely is a bit more extensive than the actual paint job mechanics, but not by much. There are only 3 real types of races you can participate and play in. There are normal races with lapped and sprint variations, time trials, and drifting. There are also 6 different locales to do these events in, but the number of tracks overall is very limited. Nowhere near the numbers of other next-gen racers that are track-based. Though beautiful and distinct from one another, you'll basically have played on every single track by the 4th hour at most. DLC has come out for this game, and given its time since release, the number of DLC you can get is simply stunning and amazing.
I gotta admit, with the DLC, I think it's a lot of miss and less hit. What I feel like is, with all the DLC they've come out with it, they've come out with a substantial amount of DLC in the short time it's been out. And that might seem appealing to some, but when you take a closer look at some of this DLC, you're like, oh, well, most of these are free. Of course, because they had this whole game screwed up from the launch, and they haven't really got it up and running completely for a good while, maybe a month or two. So their showing of apologizing to the loyal DriveClub fans that purchased the game on day one, they released a lot of these things for free. Unfortunately, apart from a few cars here and there, they offer free livery packs. And in fact, some of the DLC you pay for are livery packs. I'm not complaining about the price, but I'm complaining about the fact that it's livery packs. That's one of the weakest points of the game, is that you can't really go in there and make some cool customizations with your liveries like you can do in Forza. Pre-made liveries, pre-made designs, that the only thing you can really do is change the colors and add your generic car club badge on either the left, the right, the front, or all sides of the vehicle. Personally, I think it was very half-assed to do. And the fact that they just add more liveries, like it's going to improve the system when the system is basically generic and vanilla as it will get, I think that's pretty sad that they actually think that they can improve on that without actually fundamentally changing anything about the customization and the paint jobs that you can do. Now, they do have tours, of course, and these tours are expansions. They work the same way as a single-player tour. So if you're one of those guys that played the single-player tour, got all 225 stars, and you got done with it and you just play multiplayer, you know, alright. I don't think you're missing anything, because it was pretty good. I mean, it was short. I don't think I've been able to completely beat a single player campaign in a while, ever since Forza came out. They've given you substantial amounts of things to do. It's almost never ending. But this came out, it was like, bam, it was over in a heartbeat. So they came out with some new tours, some new events. Some of them in the packs offer you additional cars, which is always nice. I mean, every time a game offers me more cars, I do not turn down the offer. But again, when it comes to the cars, they still haven't really quite fixed. I mean, maybe this is intentional, but I feel like adding one new American-made car, the Corvette, and the rest of them being Europeans, I figured they'd add more diversity by now. I mean, you have the freedom to add cars. Why are you still doing Europeans? There are plenty of great Japanese supercars. The GTR is just off the top of my head. There's great American supercars. The Ford GT. I mean, come on. But they stick with the European trend, as if to say, this is a European design game and it's intentionally for the European fans. You had potentials to add new races, new sceneries, new tracks, the ability to add some diversity that you did not have established already from the disc. But what they do here is they just add another bunch of events that are exactly like the ones in the original tour. It's not even adding any tracks. You're basically doing the same types of events on the same types of tracks that you've been doing the entire single player tour. You know, you're still doing hot laps, you're still doing drifting, you're still doing single player races, and you're basically still doing those events. It's as vanilla as it gets. If you're going to get the DLC, just go in there knowing that what you're getting is more of the exact same thing you already got.
Alright, I took this racing game online and I gave the multiplayer a good run, and I was surprised, but not for the reason you may think. See, the way this online works here is if you want to go into an online public race, you can only choose from set races with set conditions and set cars that are pre-made, but they always introduce new events due to each one running a timer on it that makes the event expire after a certain amount of time. So if you don't like what's available, then wait a while and new events will be introduced. they do have a ridiculous amount of events running at any given point, starting from events with the shortest time left to join to some that'll take a long time before they commence. I've never seen this way of playing any game before, and while not bad, it does take some time to get used to. You can also host races privately and invite your friends or other players in the traditional way, so that's a plus. People who play racing games online know that in every race there are a few who really screw up players or are aggressive as hell, but this game takes it to a whole nother level. I played 3 races online, and in all 3 races, the AI in the offline mode has nothing on how aggressive everyone is in a race. Players will purposefully knock you off the track, block you from passing, even as far as kamikaze themselves to ruin your day. And you might be asking me, but Snake, every racing game is like that. Oh no. I've played Forza, I've played Need for Speed, I've played a lot of other races online, but this is the most frustrating, if not unnecessarily aggravating out of all of them. I'm not just talking 1 or 2 or even 3 racers like this. I'm talking all the players in a race are like this. I'm not even over exaggerating here. It is literally everyone out for everyone. This becomes less race and more of a Call of DriveClub, a combat racing game. And it was consistently so. Now my theory on why players here are commonly like this and intentionally screwing everyone up is due to 2 main reasons, which I believe are: damage is cosmetic regardless of the penalty system, which is strangely online felt more tame, so free will to crash everyone off, no sacrifice, but also no victory. And lastly, the offline driver AI is already aggressive, so you need to be more aggressive to win races and earn stars. I guess online people are stuck on this I have to fight to win mentality needed for the single player events. I would say the multiplayer online for DriveClub is absolutely a blast if you're challenging others and beating player scores using the challenge system and the inviting and the receiving system, but it's completely aggravating when in direct contact with other players online in races. Now your results may vary from mine, but this was my experience on all 3 races online I had with other players, and it was consistent all the way. DriveClub is a beautiful, stunning racing game that truly showcases the graphical power of the PlayStation 4. Its concepts are implemented with great success, and its simplicity can be a good thing if that's what you want out of your racing game. The selection of cars, though personally not big on exclusively European cars, is diverse enough with the amount of European cars you can choose from to stand out from the flood of other racers. If you enjoy a challenge and don't want complicated design, then this won't disappoint. I find myself coming back for its visuals and for its basic structure and competitiveness to be a better racer. DriveClub is worth a buy. At least until Gran Turismo decides to make a comeback.
Yeah, so that's my review for DriveClub. If you liked the video, hit the like button, and don't forget you can subscribe to my channel, and I'll be bringing more of the same on videos and games that you may not have gotten a review of. Thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate you watching my video. I will see you on the next sessions with Snake Vape, and remember, these are reviews you can trust.
Thank you.